Okay everyone, welcome back. So this video is going to be basically a request, and I've gotten numerous questions on this, and I'm hoping the lighting and everything here is okay. But anyways, I've gotten numerous requests on this, and this all relates to the Yamaha Nano X Cell and XL2 hulls. And everybody's wondering about small chip repairs. Do you need to repair them? And all this other stuff. So I guess, do you need to repair them? So let's hit on that. If you see foam, it needs to be repaired. If you see foam, that means the impact or whatever have you has breached the hull, and there could be water getting in. And the foam is fairly tight in there, it's high density, but basically you have a hole in the boat, you have to fix it. Chips in paint, a paint chip that's, very, very minor, unless you want a showroom friggin' boat. But I mean, honestly, there's a lot of work involved just to do that small little chip for paint. If you're chipped into the hull though, and that's one of the ones we're going to touch on here today, then that kind of leads it to what you want to do. If you feel like you want to have it fixed, then hey, let's fix it. If it's just chipped into the hull, really, because of the technology they use, there should be no seepage, there should be no water absorption, so you should be okay. It's more of a cosmetic thing. So I just want to go through a few things here, and I want to try to make this video as informative as possible. I also want to make it as short as possible, so that you can get to work, go do what you have to do, and you're not sitting here listening to me talk about everything. So anyways, I don't have a Nano X Cell hull here that needs any work, so I'm going to do a comparison here for you. So I'm just going to bring this up to the camera. This here, you see how thin, how thick that is? That is your typical composite for a Nano X Cell hull. That is basically what you're working with before you hit the foam layer. There's nothing there. And that's why Yamaha has an excellent horsepower to weight ratio, because these hulls basically, they weigh nothing. There's nothing there, right? That in comparison to a Sea-Doo hull. So this is the bottom of a Sea-Doo, and this was right by the jet pump area. And this is all delaminated. This was caused by hitting of a deadhead basically here on the river. But that's how thick a typical Sea-Doo hull is. So that is, in the thickest part on the keel, you're just under ½ an inch there. Like there's a lot of material there, right? So when you take that and compare it to this, I mean, there you go, right? So Sea-Doos are very heavy, lots of fiberglass, lots of material in them. The Nano X Cells are, just like that, right? Just as strong, if not stronger, but when you're going to have to repair it, you have a lot more leeway with the Sea-Doo hull than you do with the Nano X Cell hull. So that's that. What I'm going to use here is I have an old fiberglass swim platform, and this is kind of like my little test thing whenever I want to test things. And I backed it with a piece of 3/4 inch fur, and that's going to represent our foam this time around. But you're also going to see how thick this is. So right here, if you can see that, there is, it's about as thin as that little piece of glass that I showed you. So that's going to be our test. So, I mean, I don't really have a way of starting this off. There's so many different ways that you can go about fixing it, and it all depends on your end finish and what you want and what your damage, I guess, is. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to wipe this down. I'm going to put a couple holes in it, and then we're going to go from there. The materials I have laid out here, a lot of these are in the videos that I did with the Yamaha hulls. So we have our Total Boat Total Fair, we have our Total Boat surface prep and dewaxer. We also have our isopropyl alcohol, which is 99.99%. You don't want the watered down stuff. You have our DXP system here by Gel Coat International with their hardener. And then we have our microspheres and our Cavicillus thickeners. And then we have the G-Flex, we have the Total Boat Thixoflex, and that's all of our epoxy-based fillers and repair items. Something else I'm going to introduce you guys to that I haven't done a lot on here. So this is a 3M filler with the cream hardener. This is a polyester based material. And I've touched on this in the Yamaha videos, and we're going to touch a little bit here on this. So this is polyester based. You can use this on fiberglass, and if prepped properly, you can use this on the Nano X Cell Hull. However, this result is going to be equal to the Total Boat result. It's going to end up the same color at the end, and you're going to have to prime it, you're going to have to paint it, clear it, sand it, all that stuff. I'm going to do 2 demos here to show you basically what you're going to end up with. And then the other thing here, and this is something else from Gel Coat International, this is a clear neutral gel coat paste. So again, polyester based. It can bond to the Yamaha Nano X Cell Hulls, but again, you have to prep it properly, and you have to let it cure properly, and you have to be very delicate when you're sanding. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to try to do an example of each, and then you guys can kind of weigh which way you want to do this. I mean, unfortunately, I guess cost-wise and material-wise, the cheapest way to go is probably going to be with this polyester gel coat paste. And this is just going to be for minor gouges and hulls, minor repairs, or what have you. You can tint that with color, so it gets a close color match for you. And I'll try to touch on that quickly. Again, with the 3M polyester base and the Total Fair, you're going to end up with it's a filler material. If you guys have ever worked with Bondo before, essentially that's kind of what it is. You can't use Bondo though. So, you know, there's a lot more work entailed with that, and you have to buy this on a bigger scale. The Thixoflex and the G-Flex, those 2 materials are very equivalent. The Thixoflex comes in a nice tube with a static mixer. This stuff you can use just about anywhere, just like the Thixoflex, but you have to buy, you know, 2 cans of it basically. When it comes to the epoxy system, if you have a lot of work to do, or you want to do some other things with epoxy, you know, fine and dandy, but chances are you're working underneath of the unit. You got to thicken this up. So you got to buy fillers, you got to buy Cavicil, you got to buy, your Cavicil here, and your microspheres to help make a paste so that you can apply it and then allow for easier sanding. And no matter what you do, you're going to need either this dewaxer and surface prep from Total Boat, or you're going to need the alcohol. I highly recommend the alcohol. So rubbing alcohol, that's a common household item. Use it for bug stings and, you know, some minor medical things at home. And typically you're probably going to have this on hand. So I mean, if you're looking for the easiest, least invasive repair, I guess, is your alcohol base and your polyester gel coat repair kit here. That's probably going to be the easiest. And I mean, you're still going to need sanding discs, you're going to need masking tape, and a whole bunch of things. But let me go through a little bit of repair stuff here. We'll mix up some stuff, get stuff going, and then we'll come back and we'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and then I can maybe better this might help better explain everything basically. Every situation is unique. Every repair is unique. So I'm trying to help as much as possible out here. So anyways, let me get prepped up here. We're gonna make some holes in the swim platform and we're gonna start laying up some material. Okay, so off camera here I went ahead and I did some damage to our swim platform. So here we go. Some common, gouges here, same there. And then same down here where we're as deep as there. We're not through the material, but it's a pretty good little gouge. And I think for the most part, and it's hard, trying to get this to show up here a little bit. It's kind of hard to see this a little bit, but we're talking 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch damage. These two here, I have these drilled right down to the core of that 3/4 inch fur here on the back. And that's going to represent the foam. So if you're seeing foam in here, guys, you should really be fixing that. These ones up here, they're gouges in the material, but we're not all the way through. That's more cosmetic than anything at this point. I added some scratches in here on the paint. Honestly, I just scratched the paint basically on there. So I'll see if I can address those in the video then as well. But then I went ahead and I labeled everything here so we know what they're going to be. So up here I'm going to use the G-Flex up in here, the Total Fair up in here. I'm going to put another hole up here for the 3M material just so you can see the 3M, the polyester. We got the Thixoflex, an epoxy one, the clear gel, the polyester based gel, and then the clear gel with color. And we're going to try all this. And we're going to see basically, the results of each, I guess, and then we can kind of go through and see which one's going to be the easiest and the hardest to really do and what your results are at the end. So I'm just going to start mixing some stuff up here and we're going to get to it. Something to note is I already washed down this board with my surface wax and prep, so that's done now. I'm strictly going to be using alcohol here at this point. Whenever you're working on your material here, your hull, no acetone. Keep that away from the Nano X Cell unless you're working strictly on like a C2 or a fiberglass hull. You will need acetone though for the polyester stuff and to clean up your tools basically. And we can touch on that because I have not done any videos on the polyester stuff. So we can touch on that a bit. But as you can see already, no matter which way you want to go to repair here, you need a bunch of materials. So there's no magic, go buy this and that's all I need. There's just so many things that depend on everything basically here. So I'm going to try to narrow this down as much as possible and come up with a plan for you guys. So anyways, here we go. Okay folks, so I'm going to start here with our 3M polyester only because it's quick to lay up and whatever else. So I put up the acetone here, and the reason you need the acetone, do not wipe your hull with the acetone. The reason being is the acetone will actually pull the wax to the surface, and whenever you pull the wax to the surface, you're not going to get a good adhesion with this stuff, and you're going to be euchred basically. So basically you're going to need just a couple putty knives. You can use your plastic applicators as well here, but just some plastic putty knives is fine. One other thing you're going to need, a cup. Excuse me while I'm on camera. You're going to need a cup. Put some of your acetone in that cup, and then you're also going to need a brush, and this is just going to be for cleaning your tools up after. So basically we're just dealing with a small nickel size area here, so we don't need a lot of this. So we're just going to put some up here on our bigger putty knife. Put that back on there. And then we've got some cream hardener that comes with it. And you're just going to mix that up inside the tube here. And I apologize, I don't know how well you're going to be able to really see all this, but I think it's more of a demonstration of the product versus, the application side of things here. So anyways, And then you're just gonna put a drop of this beside here. And I mean a drop. And basically the more hardener you put in here, the quicker this is gonna kick. So depending on your temperatures and where you're working, only mix what you need or what you can lay up in one setting basically. So here we go. My finger for a reference. That's how much we're mixing up here right now. And we're just gonna mix that up. It's gonna become a green color basically. And we're just gonna push this into the repair area. Now you may not get this all in one shot, and this may be 2 or 3 applications of this that you have to do, sanding it up and what have you. But once this is mixed, you don't have a lot of time basically. So what we're gonna do though, before I do lay this up, is I'm just gonna mask off our area here. And what this is gonna do is it's going to keep our repair area to a small section. And this will prevent any scuffing from sanding and what have you, and try to minimize any other damage by us. So there we go, we're taped up. I'm just going to take some of this, and honestly I'm just going to push this in here, guys. Try to get it as smooth as possible. Now the nice thing about working with the polyester is this stuff kicks relatively soon, and it's nice because you can just keep working at it until you're done with your project, right? So there we go. You know, as good as we can be right now. Now after you're done here, okay, we got to take this tape off now right away, and we're going to tape that back up after the fact. But the reason we have to take this off is it's going to cure on there, and then it's going to be, you know, just more sanding basically. So we're going to tape that back up again before we go. All right, so I'm back here. We got the 3M done there. I got rid of the 3M product and the acetone and everything on the bench just to give me a little bit more room here right now. So the next one we're going to do is our total fair. And again, these are going to be, I've talked about these in the Yamaha videos, and this is going to be very similar to the 3M, except it's an epoxy. And you know, if you're not comfortable working with the polyester, and I mean, I've always talked about doing stuff the proper way and whatever else. Whenever you're dealing with small repairs here, there is a right and a wrong, but because it's a small repair, you know, you're able to get away with, you know, some other things. But ideally, if your hull material is epoxy, or you know, you're not sure what your hull material is, epoxy should be the way that you go, because you know 100% you're going to get a full cure, you're going to get proper adhesion, and there should be no issues with repair. Using a polyester base, especially on a Nano X Cell Hull, we know for a fact that there's wax mixed into that whole molding process, and whenever you're using something that heats up really quick, it can actually pull and pool that wax at the surface and make for a bad adhesion. And if you don't know what you're mixing or what you're using, or what you're working on, I should say, you know, that's where problems could arise and your repairs start to fail. So anyways, just mixing up our total fair here a little bit. And again, this is equal parts 1:1. The instructions and everything here are on the containers. Anyways, again, same as the 3M stuff here, I don't need a lot, so, and because you're going 1:1 here, I mean, you just need half of what you need for the first one and half for the other. Honestly, I don't think it's a 1:1. I think we're a little bit off of that or something, but anyways, it's very close. So there we go, we're about equal mix here. And I'm just gonna grab another stick here. And again, you can apply this with a putty knife, you can apply this with your plastic spreaders, whatever you have on hand. You can use a popsicle stick really too. Again, just make sure that everything's clean. Surfaces are prepped the way that they should be. I know I didn't show any prep really for these gouges and whatever else. You just want to make sure that, that they're clean. There's no loose material in there, there's no foreign material in there that can affect the repair. And you're good to go basically. You know, you can take a drill bit that's clean and you can kind of hone it out a little bit. You can take a, what is that now? Countersink bit and put that in there and just kind of auger it out a little bit. Your typical countersink bit here. So there we go, we got this all mixed up. I'm actually going to go grab my putty knife, I'll get it back. So here we go, and now the same thing here again, right? I'm just going to take this, and I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see, it's probably not going to be that great, but we're just going to push this in. We're trying to eliminate air bubbles as much as possible. And you want to try to get that in there as smooth as possible. And then that way too, it's less sanding, right? And try to keep within your taped off area here. I think what's really important here is to try not to overwork it. I know, you know, we all want to be done in the first layup, but the reality of it is that you're probably going to have to go back and do another coat. So multiple coats are better than one heavy coat. And anyways, there we go. So the total fair now is laid up. Now, the nice thing here, the polyester 3M stuff, that's already dry. And, you know, we could actually work on that right now if we wanted to. But because I gotta get the rest of these laid up, we're not gonna do that right now. I'm gonna go clean up my putty knife. I'll get rid of this, and then we're gonna move on here. Okay, so our next one that we're going to lay up here is going to be our G-Flex. And I got my gloves on here now because I'm going to deal with some epoxy. And probably recommend wearing a mask here. So again, sorry, we're dealing here with G-Flex. Probably a good idea to wear a mask because of the camera. Everything right now, I'm just going to avoid that. I'm working with such small amounts. Again, the G-Flex is 1:1. Piece of cardboard here. We got the clear thickened epoxy, and then we got the hardener in there as well. So, and then we're just going to mix that up. And we're just looking for like a golden amber color basically. So just remember, when you're trying to choose a material that you want to work with, is also the time window of that being able to cure and you being able to work the material and, you know, sand it and reapply if you have to and whatever else. We're focused mainly on the G-Flex the Nano X Cell and the Nano X Cell Hulls here right now. So epoxy base would technically be the proper way to go, but like I say, we've already gone through this and there's so many options that you have. So okay, that's mixed up. I'm just gonna cap these here like that for now. And get that out of the way. So again with the G-Flex, we're just going to take some on our stick here and we're going to lay that on. And that's it with that, folks. We are dealing with such a small area here. And then just want to get my tape off of here. And there we go. So our next one here, we're going to use our Thixoflex, and I left the old static mixer on there. We do want to make sure that our two sides here are not solid. I got a new static mixer right here. We're going to screw that on. I'm going to get my caulking gun, put that in there, and lay out some more material. So we're going to do a strip here because we want to get a uniform color coming out of this. And you can see it's starting to work through the static mixer. And you can't really force this stuff, right? I mean, depending on what air temperature you're working in and what have you, will kind of dictate how well the stuff's going to flow. I have found that if you actually put this in a pail of hot water or in your sink and let it warm up, it could help it flow quite a bit better. But for today's purpose, we're not doing that. Here we go. And you just want to keep oozing this out until you get a consistent color. And honestly, it's going to come out probably at the end, it's going to come out the same color as what your G-Flex just came out of. And you just want to have a consistent color here, which we do right now. It's kind of a honeycomb color. So that's all good. Now we're just going to take that here, and we're putting this into one of the ones that we're replicating that there's damage down to the foam, right? So we're just going to take that, we're going to squeeze it in there as best as possible. There we go. And then after that's all said and done, we're just going to take another popsicle stick. We're going to make sure that we have total coverage. Force it in there, make sure there's no air pockets, air bubbles. Make it as smooth as possible. That looks pretty good right there. I just realized I didn't hit record for mixing up our clear gel paste here. So anyways, I just took some of this out of the can, put the hardener in it. I put 6 drops of hardener in that to, you know, a popsicle stick full, I guess. So more than that, but this is the color of it. It's going to dry somewhat clear, which is really nice. Again, these are nice little kits. They retail here for about $60 Canadian. And all the instructions and everything here are here on the back. It comes with a brush, couple popsicle sticks, your hardener, your gel repair paste. And I mean, honestly, you can do quite a bit of an area with that, right? So neat little kits. This on here, this is paint. And this is just more of a less a demo here of what I'm going to do. This is gel color agent. And give me a second. just want to demo putting color into your gel paste. So it's close, I guess, but again, this is just demo, so kind of give you an idea. So we just want to mix it up. And I already have the hardener because I'm using the same color of, or sorry, I'm using the same batch of gel paste repair here. So we're just going to add, see if you guys can see that, a couple drops here of color. You don't want a lot of color because that can affect the curing of it. So I'm just going to look for another drop of color here. Come on. Let's see if I can scoop one here. So there we go. And it's kind of all, you're playing here at this point of, you know, you want enough color to hide, but you don't want too much color where it's not going to cure properly and all that good stuff. So just so you can see, you know, here is our blue color. That's all mixed up into our clear gel. So we're going to take that right now and we're going to apply that to our other section here. There we go. Not a lot required. There we go. I'm going to wipe that off. So there, we have our G-Flex laid up, we have our 3M laid up, we have our Total Fair, we have our Thixoflex, we have our clear gel, and we also have our clear gel with color. So, that being said, I got to take our tape off of here before this stuff starts to cure. I think it already has started the process. Now, I was going to do an epoxy one, and that's a brand new can of epoxy. I don't have one open. I thought maybe I had a few cups that I had previously mixed up, but I don't. So you've all watched the Yamaha series videos, I'm sure, if you're watching this, and if you haven't, by all means go check them out. There could be some info in there that might be relevant to you. But that being said, is I really don't want to open up a brand new can of epoxy for this right now, just for the fact that I got no upcoming projects that I'm aware of that I need it for. But if you did mix up a batch of epoxy, it's going to be very similar to the Thixoflex or the G-Flex, except the epoxy is going to dry clear. And we can touch on that whenever we go through the clear gel repair here, I think, a little bit. Anyways, that's got all of our important things laid up. A lot of these products are going to complement and kind of copy each other here a little bit, with some exceptions. Something that I want to point out here while I'm talking about the clear gel paste is this stuff right now is drying clear. And I pointed out earlier that it was a little bit orangey. This is a similar material from Evercoat, but I don't have good experience with this for that process, for the fact that it's blue. So whenever you add a color to this, the color changes. It's not going to be an exact match. So there are other products out there. I'm going to highly recommend the Gel Coat International Clear over the Evercoat that says it's neutral, but it has a tinge to it and it doesn't dry clear. So you saw that was blue, and I'm going to take some out here. This is from Gel Coat International, and it has like a pink hue to it, but it's drying clear here on the board. And if you're just going to use this product, you know, this might be the better way to go, you know, if you're not adding any color. So anyways, we got to let all this set and cure and dry and what have you. I'm going to get rid of this wet stuff. I'm going to come back, give you a quick tip, and then we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come back after that. Okay, so one of my viewers here, subscribers to the channel, I had mentioned, I was helping him out on his project, and I had mentioned to use some shrink wrap tape on the surface. And the reason I said that, so we're working on the bench, gravity's working for us right now, pushing everything down. When you're typically underneath of a unit, and that's 90% of the repairs is you're underneath of the unit, gravity wants to take all that material that you just put in and force it out, right? So the best thing that I can use and recommend to use is shrink tape, because shrink tape for the most of it comes off, doesn't leave a residue, doesn't damage anything. But he asked if there was a difference between the preservation tape and the heat tape. This is heat tape, and I'm going to say and recommend you have to use the heat tape. I went and grabbed my book here this morning. The preservation tape, because of how it bonds, and it's noted right here, that it could possibly pull the top layer of paint or finish. And that's the last thing you want to do whenever you're repairing a small area, is to pull more paint off and have to, you know, cause yourself more repair work. So make sure that it's the heat tape and not the preservation tape. So basically why we're using this is it's going to help give us a nice smooth finish and maybe cut down on some of the sanding. But also whenever you're using that epoxy from underneath and it's wanting to droop down before it sets, and you put the tape on, that's going to allow the epoxy to go to the contour of the hull, and it's going to stay there. It can't go anywhere else, right? So I'm going to demo this on our Thixoflex here, and we're just going to push that on there, like so. And you can even do that with our G-Flex. And this is also going to allow you to be able to push down on that now with your finger and make sure that you have it all the way in as well, right? So there, everything's in there. I'm not going to recommend that you use that with the paste or the gel unless you really have to, because it needs, well, you know what? Let's try it. How's that? Let's put on our clear gel here. And we're going to see what happens when we do it. And then we'll have a definite answer on if it works or if it doesn't work. So there we go. We got our G-Flex laid up, our 3M, our Total Fair. Our 3M's dry, like we can work on our 3M right now. Everything else on this table, except for the two gels, are epoxy based. We're committed to their hours here now, but the clear gels and the 3M we're going to be able to work on a lot sooner than the rest of it. Because it's all one, we got to wait for it all to happen. I'm just going to bring this up here to show you. So I'm thinking that this is going to be a little bit better than what I had before. So here's our 3M right here. And that stuff's already dry, ready to sand. Our G-Flex is right here, and I got the shrink tape over that. Our Total Fair is right here. That's still drying because that's epoxy based. Our Thixoflex, we got to cover with shrink tape, and that's still drying. The epoxy, we had mentioned I'm not going to do one right now. The clear gel, we covered that up to see how that works. And then the clear gel with the paste. And you can see right now, like,
that's a pretty close match, right? And this is probably the way that a lot of you guys are going to go with for very small repairs. But I wanted to demo all this for you so that you have some knowledge on all the materials and everything that you're going to need. So like I said though, it's not the be all and end all. It's not the, the magic kit that you buy. However, if we're awarding points right now, we're going to award points to Gel Coat International and their neutral gel coat kit, because that will probably get you out of a lot of the small repairs that you want to do. It comes with a brush, it comes with a hardener, your paste, a couple popsicle sticks. So that kit's very useful. You want to take it one step further and go get yourself a close color match to add to, your close color match with the color paste here. That's going to get you really close. And then you're just going to need some acetone, some rubbing alcohol, and some sanding discs, basically. So anyways, we're going to let this all set up. We'll come back after it's dry, probably tomorrow morning now at this point, because it's already afternoon. And we'll see where we leave off from here. Good morning here, everyone. So welcome back. And so here we go. We let this sit overnight. We did these repairs yesterday. And I'm actually going to pull off the tape here, and we're going to see what we're ended up with. So I repositioned the camera here just so we can kind of see here a little bit with what we're dealing with, and I think this turned out not too bad. So here we go, we're with our 3M product here, and that's just a filler, right? And so that's hard, that was hard yesterday, and we could, sand that down and whatnot. And the same here with our Total Fair, that's good and hard here now, so that's sandable. So we have our G-Flex to uncover, our Thixo, and our clear gel. And if you see the clear gel here with color, you see how well that kind of blends right in, right? So let's just start peeling some tape, we'll see where we're at. So that's interesting. So I just pulled off our G-Flex here, and our G-Flex is still tacky. So I'm going to assume with that is because no air got to it and didn't dry. So that's one that we're gonna have to come back to here. So important tip right there basically is not to tape in the G-Flex. Let's see what happened here with the Thixo. So that has cured rock hard and good to go. And that turned out pretty damn good. So the only thing here with the Thixo, like with this right now, is I have very minimal sanding that I would have to do to that. And then you can just buff that up and be done with it. There's no color with it obviously, but it's a good solid fix. It's good and flat, smooth. And honestly, if it's on the bottom of your boat and you had a big enough area to repair like this down to the foam, that would be awesome. So, Thixoflex is probably going to be your way to go if you have any big damage that's through the hull down to the foam on these Nano X Cell Hulls. The next one here is our clear gel. And you can see how the paint pulled off there. Now don't get scared about that. That's just, again, this is just a test panel. And that's why it's a test panel, is so I can test stuff like this, right? So this would not happen on a urethane based paint or any paint that's on your boat that should be on your boat. This was just a test panel. But anyways, as you can see, the clear gel also cured and relatively smooth, and very minimal sanding would be needed. All right here, everyone. So I guess a little something here just to close up this video. So I can go through and I can sand all this down and kind of show you the end product, but there's no real point to that because this is going to give you the gist. So basically, a 3M filler or a Total Fair epoxy filler can do the job for you for the small nicks.
However, to finish this off, you need to get a primer and you need to get your paint, you know, and you know, do all your prep work and whatnot, and to clean all that up. So material list for that is quite extensive, and it's going to take a little bit of time, and it all really depends, I guess, what you're looking for and what you have on hand. The G-Flex, as we just found out here this morning, it needs the air to dry. We can't use the tape on it. So if you are in an underneath situation and it's fairly warm out and the stuff's starting to sag on you, you know, maybe not the best product to use. It is a great product, and I've used it in the past, and I've showed you that. But you know, maybe for that scenario, it's not going to be the best product to use. Thixoflex, obviously, that worked out really well. It's cured solid, and I mean, again, this is for like a deep gouge that's through the hull down to the foam. Anything that needs a little bit of structure in it, or you need to fill it and make sure it's watertight. Again, G-Flex is comparable, but the Thixoflex is going to allow you to push it into a bunch of areas. All you really require is a caulking gun. So if you get yourself some Thixo, it comes with some cartridges here then as well. And then again, with your shrink tape, I mean, you're going to end up with a nice smooth finish. The only downside to it is it's going to be amber. If it's underneath the side of the boat somewhere, or it's a big enough repair area, probably not going to matter, but you're going to get your boat watertight, and you're going to be able to get using it, you know, sooner than later. And then we didn't do the epoxy, and I touched on that as to why. Basically, your epoxy would end up the same as the Thixo, except it would be clear. So that's an option. The only problem with the epoxy is it's not thickened epoxy. You have to thicken it yourself. So you need to get your can of epoxy, which is holding this up here right now. You need to get a can of hardener, and then you need to order some microspheres, and you need to order some Cabicil, and you got to mix all this together and you know, apply it and whatnot. So you get the same result as the Thixo, but you have to buy all these materials in order to do that, and usually you have to buy minimum quantities, and it all costs money. So depending on what you're planning on doing and what you want to get into, I really think at this point the Thixoflex is winning out here. Our other option that we have then too is for polyester based, and we can use a polyester base on the Nano Hulls, like I had mentioned, in small quantities, and you'll get a good repair out of it. So the nice thing about that is that we can tint it, right? So this is just our Gelco International Gel Paste Repair Kit, and you know, that's clear. That's about the same color as your epoxy would set. That's clear, minimal sanding done, and you would be, you know, on the water ready to go. The nice thing about this though is that this whole system works because it's polyester based and you're adding a hardener to it, is that just like the 3M product, it will kick and cure a lot quicker than the epoxy products will. And you can be back on the water sooner, or if you only have a day to work on it, you would be able to do this in a day, where with the epoxy stuff, you're about a 24-hour window minimum. And again, we're able to add color here to the polyester based. And that's what we did, is we got a can of blue, and that was a pretty damn close match, right? A little bit of sanding on that, buffed that up. Honestly, you wouldn't really see much of that repair. So I really think best bang for your buck, and you know, less material, and I think the best system going forward with minimal work that you would do would be either for small scratches, gouges, and whatever else, chips. I would probably go get myself one of these kits from Gelco International, and you know, if you really want to get into it, is get yourself some color paste. And sorry, this is the product. That's the color paste here. And you know, you can get black, you can get green, you can get red, whatever you want. It's not going to be an exact match, but it's going to be pretty damn close. And you know, again, a little bit of light sanding and away you go. So either Thixoflex, it comes with the static mixing tube. All you need is a caulking gun, some good shrink tape, and you're going to end up with that result here.
like the Gel Coat International kit, you're gonna end up with this result here or this result here with no color. All the other ones all require a lot more work, a lot more product, and time essentially. So there you go, and I hope this helps you out. Now, somebody's gonna ask me about scratches and whatever else. The only way that you would fix these scratches that are strictly in the paint would be to go get yourself your urethane matching paint and take a small brush, prep this area, take a small brush, dab it in there. You may have to do a couple of coats to get proper coverage. Let it dry, and then either A, go back over it and clear coat it, or just sand it down lightly and then, you know, buff it out and away you go. Honestly, small scratches like that, they're just cosmetic. There's nothing, you know, really structural about them. So I hope this helps. I know I didn't, you know, sand it down to a final product or anything like that, but again, I think this demonstrates what you're all looking for, and I want to keep this video as short as possible. That being said, Total Boat, their product, you have to go to the Total Boat website or give them a call. They ship across North America basically. They ship it into Canada. I know into Canada things start getting a little bit expensive for customs and duty, but it's doable. And then Gel Coat International is a Canadian company, but they also operate out of the US, so getting this stuff should not be an issue. Yeah, and really I think that's all I have to say about everything. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helps you out. I hope it answers a few questions. Please do hit the subscribe button. It helps me out immensely if you can do that, please. And if this video helped you out, please like it and share it. Get it out there. And I know that this could probably help quite a few of you that are trying to figure out some of these things and what to use and what not. So anyways, hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you again on the next one.